My goal was simple: take the OM5 into the mountains and see what it could do. But at over 14,000 feet, nature had other plans. 40+ mile-per-hour winds, knee-deep snow, conditions that turned a photography trip into something much more challenging. Here's what happened. The trip started with a quick stop in the beautiful town of Silverton. I spent a little time wandering around with the camera, capturing a few photos before continuing on to the trailhead. I'm out here near Silverton, Colorado today, and my plan is to summit a 14er called Handies Peak, really not too far away from town. Now the plan is to put the OM system OM5 here kind of through its paces and see what it is capable of photographically in the high country out here in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado. I decided to take a different route than most people use to summit Handies Peak. While most hikers approach from American Basin, I started from Grouse Gulch. I hadn't climbed a 14er in over 5 years, so I was looking forward to the challenge. And hopefully some great views along the way. First section of trail offered plenty of photo opportunities, and I came away with a few images I was happy with. As I gained elevation, the landscape began to open up. After climbing several hundred feet, I entered a lush green alpine valley that led toward the first lake. This felt like the perfect introduction to this route, and I was glad I'd chosen to summit it this way. The trail to the first lake was surprisingly uneventful. Aside from a steady wind, conditions were good and there were no snowfields to cross. It was the perfect spot to take a short break, grab a snack, and enjoy the alpine scenery. I've made it to my first rest stop on this hike to the summit of Handies Peak today, and that is this beautiful alpine lake behind me, which according to my Garmin InReach Mini, we are sitting at 12,487 feet above sea level here, which means I've gained over 2,000 feet since starting the hike at the trailhead where I started. Handies Peak, according to All Trails, sits at about 14,057 feet above sea level, so just over 14,000 feet, which means I have roughly 1,500 more feet to go. Now, before I continue this hike, I do want to speak about some weather hazards here in not just the San Juan Mountains of Colorado, but any really high peaks around the western United States in the summertime, and that is thunderstorms. Basically, most of the time it's kind of advised if you're going to summit 14ers or even 13ers or just ridges above tree line in the summer that you should be off of the summits by noon, early afternoon, and something I generally follow. But today, I've been keeping a very close track on the weather forecast all week, and today there is an absolutely 0% chance of showers or thunderstorms or anything. So, yeah, I'm taking the chance to summit this 14er in the middle of the day, basically. But yeah, we have clear blue skies today. There is nothing developing, and I think it'll be fine. The one weather thing I'm dealing with today is the wind is absolutely ripping up here today, and the higher I get, the worse the wind gets because there's less protection. Lower down in that valley is a bit better. Now, once I get over this ridge here behind me, I'm sure the wind is just going to be ripping through there, and it's just going to get worse as I try to get up to the summit today. So we're going to see how the wind goes, but it might be a little tough. After the first lake, I continued the push towards American Basin. The trail was straightforward, but the wind was relentless. It never seemed to let up, and the higher I climbed, the stronger it became. Finally, Handies Peak came into view. It was great to see the summit after all these years away from climbing 14ers, but it was also obvious that the wind would be the biggest challenge of the day. ran into several large snowfields that slowed my progress. Places I was post-holing through 2 to 3 feet of snow with every step sinking deep into the soft surface. It was exhausting. But I was determined to reach the summit. .40-mile-per-hour winds and feet of snow weren't going to stop me. As I approached the summit, it was already 7 p.m., and I was beginning to wonder if it was getting too late to continue. The wind ripped across the ridge, making every step a challenge. But with the summit finally in sight, turning around wasn't an option. I could see the summit just ahead, so I kept pushing forward. The wind of the summit was so relentless that I didn't stay for more than 10 minutes. Even taking photos with the Ohm 5 was a challenge, as every gust threatened to throw off my balance and shake the camera. Despite the brutal conditions, the views from the summit were absolutely stunning. Layer upon layer of rugged San Juan peaks stretched across the horizon. This made it all worth it. With darkness approaching, I didn't waste any time starting the hike back down. Along the way, I stopped a few more times to take photos, wanting to soak in every last bit of the scenery before leaving the mountain behind. Hope you guys enjoyed this adventure, and I'll see you in the next one.